books, the soft glow of the lamp casting a warm ambience over the room. It was a comfortable silence, the kind that comes from years of shared experiences and understanding. But then, Martha broke the tranquility with words that sent a shockwave through my entire being. "I think we should talk," she said, her voice tentative yet resolute. I lowered my book, my heart already pounding in anticipation of what was to come. "About what?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. Martha took a deep breath, her gaze fixed on some distant point beyond the room. "About us," she said finally. "About where we're headed." My stomach churned with unease. I had a sinking feeling that this conversation wasn't going to end well. "What do you mean?" I prodded, my voice barely above a whisper. Martha turned to face me, her eyes searching mine for something I couldn't quite decipher. "I've been thinking," she began slowly, "about the nature of our relationship, about whether it's enough." My heart plummeted at her words. "Enough for what?" I demanded, my voice betraying the fear that gripped me. She hesitated, as if grappling with how to articulate her thoughts. "Enough for both of us to be happy," she replied finally. "I love you, you know that. But lately I've been feeling like something's missing. Like maybe we've been holding each other back." The weight of her words hung heavy in the air, suffocating me with their implications. "What are you saying, Martha?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She took my hand in hers, her touch gentle yet firm. "I'm saying," she began, her voice trembling ever so slightly, "that maybe we should consider opening up our relationship." The words hit me like a sledgehammer, each syllable driving home the enormity of what she was suggesting. I felt as if the ground had been ripped out from under me, leaving me adrift in a sea of uncertainty. "But why?" I stammered, struggling to make sense of it all. Martha squeezed my hand reassuringly, her eyes filled with a mixture of longing and apprehension. "Because I want us to be happy, even if that means exploring other options," she replied softly. "I don't want us to wake up one day and realize that we've missed out on something amazing, because we were too afraid to take a chance." Her words echoed in my mind, each syllable a painful reminder of the chasm that now lay between us. I knew then that our relationship would never be the same again. And as much as it hurt, I knew I had to make a choice, to either embrace the uncertainty of the future or cling to the safety of the past. The air in the apartment felt heavy, charged with an electricity that crackled between Martha and me. We sat on opposite ends of the couch, the space between us a gaping chasm filled with unspoken words and unshed tears. It was as if the very fabric of our relationship was unraveling before my eyes, and I was powerless to stop it. "I can't do this, Martha," I finally said, my voice barely above a whisper. She looked up, her eyes wide with fear and desperation. "Can't do what?" she asked, her voice cracking with emotion. "This us," I replied, gesturing vaguely between us. "I can't keep pretending like everything's okay when it's not. I can't keep pretending like I'm okay with you wanting to explore other options." Martha's face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks as she struggled to comprehend what I was saying. "But I love you," she protested, her voice thick with emotion. "I thought we could make this work together." I shook my head, the weight of her words pressing down on me like a leaden weight. "I thought so too," I admitted, my own voice choked with emotion. "But the truth is, I can't shake the feeling of betrayal. I can't shake the feeling that you're slipping away from me, and there's nothing I can do to stop it." Silence descended upon us, thick and suffocating, broken only by the sound of our ragged breaths. In that moment, I knew that there was no going back, that our relationship had reached its breaking point, and there was nothing left to salvage. "I think we should break up," I said finally, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. Martha's eyes widened in shock, her breath catching in her throat. "Break up," she repeated, as if unable to comprehend the enormity of what I was suggesting. I nodded, the weight of my decision settling like a stone in the pit of my stomach. "I think it's for the best," I replied, my voice hollow with resignation. "For both of us." Tears welled up in Martha's eyes, her shoulders shaking with the force of her sobs. "But what about us?" she pleaded, her voice raw with pain. "What about everything we've been through, everything we've shared?" I looked away, unable to meet her gaze. "I don't know," I admitted softly. "But I do know that I can't keep pretending like everything's okay when it's not. I can't keep pretending like I'm okay with you wanting to explore other options." And with that, the decision was made. Our relationship, once so strong and full of promise, now lay shattered at our feet, a casualty of our own insecurities and fears. And as I watched Martha gather her things and leave, the weight of my decision settled upon me like a leaden weight, leaving me adrift in a sea of uncertainty and regret. The aftermath of our breakup was like navigating through a minefield, each step fraught with tension and uncertainty. As I grappled with the emotional fallout of ending things with Martha, I found myself facing pressure and criticism from all sides. Martha's family and friends were quick to point fingers, casting me as the villain in our tragic love story. They couldn't understand why I had ended things, why I had walked away from a relationship that had seemed so perfect from the outside. Their words stung like salt in an open wound, exacerbating the pain and guilt that gnawed at my insides. "I can't believe you would do this to her," Martha's best friend, Laurie, said, her voice tinged with anger and disappointment. "She loved you, you know. She saw a future with you." I hung my head, unable to meet Laurie's accusatory gaze. "I know," I admitted softly. "But I couldn't keep pretending like everything was okay when it wasn't. I couldn't keep living a lie." Laurie shook her head, her expression softening slightly. "I understand," she said, her voice gentler now. "But that doesn't make it any easier for her. She's hurting, you know. She's lost without you." I swallowed hard, the weight of Laurie's words settling like a leaden weight in the pit of my stomach. I knew that Martha was hurting, that she was struggling to make sense of a world that had been turned upside down. But I couldn't shake the feeling that ending things was the right decision, no matter how much it hurt. As the days turned into weeks, the fallout from our breakup only seemed to intensify. Martha's emotional breakdowns became more frequent, her desperate attempts to win me back growing more desperate with each passing day. She bombarded me with messages and calls, pleading with me to give our relationship another chance, to reconsider my decision to walk away. But no matter how much she begged and pleaded, I couldn't bring myself to go back. The trust between us had been shattered beyond repair, the foundation of our relationship irreparably damaged. And so, I made the difficult decision to cut off contact with Martha and her circle of friends, hoping that distance would bring some measure of healing to us both. But as the days turned into weeks, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had made a terrible mistake. That in walking away from Martha, I had lost more than just a girlfriend. I had lost a part of myself, a part that I wasn't sure I would ever be able to reclaim. And as I lay awake at night, tormented by memories of what once was, I couldn't help but wonder if I would ever find the courage to pick up the pieces and start anew. With the decision to end things with Martha made, I braced myself for the inevitable complications that would follow. Our shared one-bedroom apartment, once a sanctuary of love and warmth, now felt like a prison, trapping us in a space filled with memories of what used to be. Navigating the practical aspects of our breakup proved to be just as challenging as dealing with the emotional fallout. We had accumulated years' worth of shared belongings, from furniture to kitchenware to cherished mementos of our time together. Untangling our lives felt like an impossible task, one that threatened to consume us both in its enormity. "I don't know how we're going to do this," Martha said, her voice tinged with frustration as she surveyed the cluttered apartment. "There's so much stuff, and so little space to put it all." I sighed, running a hand through my hair as I struggled to come up with a solution. "I know," I replied, my own voice heavy with resignation. "But we have to figure something out. We can't keep living like this, constantly reminded of what we've lost." Martha nodded, her expression weary, as she began sorting through our belongings. "I just wish it didn't have to be like this," she said softly. "I wish we could go back to the way things were, before everything fell apart." Her words struck a chord deep within me, a painful reminder of the life we had once shared. But as much as I longed to turn back the clock and reclaim what was lost, I knew that it was impossible. Our relationship had reached its breaking point, and there was no going back. As we continued to sort through our belongings, the reality of our situation began to sink in. We were stuck in this apartment, trapped in a limbo of our own making, unable to move forward and unable to let go of the past. And as the days turned into weeks, the weight of our shared history threatened to crush us both beneath its weight. But amidst the chaos and uncertainty, there came a glimmer of hope, a chance for us to reclaim our independence and forge a new path forward. It wouldn't be easy, and there would undoubtedly be obstacles along the way. But as I looked into Martha's eyes, I knew that we would find a way through the darkness together. In the quiet moments that followed our breakup, I found myself grappling with a whirlwind of emotions and thoughts. Alone in the silence of our once shared apartment, I was forced to confront the reality of what had transpired between Martha and me. As I sifted through the remnants of our life together, memories both bitter and sweet flooded my mind. The laughter we had shared, the tears we had shed, the dreams we had dared to dream. All of it seemed so distant now, like echoes of a life that no longer belonged to me. "I never thought it would end like this," Martha said, her voice tinged with sadness as she gazed around the apartment. "I thought we were invincible, that nothing could tear us apart." I nodded, unable to meet her gaze as I wrestled with my own guilt and regret. "I know," I replied softly. "But sometimes, things don't turn out the way we expect them to. Sometimes, love isn't enough to overcome the obstacles that stand in our way." Martha sighed, her shoulders slumping in defeat. "I just wish I had done things differently," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I wish I had been more honest with myself, more honest with you. Maybe then, things would have turned out differently." Her words struck a chord within me, a painful reminder of the mistakes we had both made along the way. But as I looked into Martha's eyes, I knew that dwelling on the past would only hold us back from moving forward. "We can't change the past," I said, reaching out to take her hand in mine. "But we can learn from it. We can use our mistakes as stepping stones toward a brighter future." Martha nodded, a glimmer of hope shining in her eyes. "You're right," she said, her voice filled with determination. "We may have lost each other, but that doesn't mean we've lost ourselves. We can still find happiness, even if it's in unexpected places." And as we stood there, facing the uncertain future that lay ahead, I knew that Martha was right. Our breakup may have been painful, but it had also given us the opportunity to reflect, to grow, and to embrace the possibilities that lay before us. And as we took our first tentative steps toward a new beginning, I couldn't help but feel a sense of hope stirring within me. A hope that maybe, just maybe, our story wasn't over yet. Thank you for listening to the story to the end, and if you like it, please support us with a like as well as subscribe to our channel. Write in the comments what you think about the story.